Hello and welcome back, everybody. It's your guy, Chef Steven. How you doing? We are, of course, back with another Cooking with Sun King here at the Fisher's Test Kitchen with our great friends from Green Bean Delivery to celebrate some state fair foods. 3 recipes today, all in one video. Didn't actually get to go to the state fair this year. I know you're all sad about that, but for the holidays, we thought we'd treat you with some really fun recipes that remind us of the state fair, and then of course feature a lot of really great ingredients, and of course fresh local beer from Sun King. So we're gonna do some corn dogs. We're gonna do a couple different Boozy milkshakes, and then I'm gonna eat it all and go to sleep. So to kick this off, as a traditional corn dog goes, my fryer is really small. So a traditional like 12-inch skewer or 10-inch skewer probably won't fit in there. So we're going mini. Mini corn dogs, super fun, bite-sized, great party appetizer for the 3 people that you're having over for the holidays. Keep it small, keep it small, keep it small. And we've got a few different hot dogs and some sausages that we're going to try out. But we need to start with a dry mix. Super simple. We're looking for just a little bit of flour, some cornmeal, a leavening agent, baking powder, and then some salt and pepper. We're gonna add some scallions just to give it a nice fun flair, and then a wet mix. This one is going to feature our wonderful lightly hazy IPA, Keller Haze. Great little India Pale Ale, wonderful citrusy flavors that'll go perfect with all of our sausages and hot dogs. And I think that's pretty much it. Let's do it. So first we're gonna make our dry mix. In typical batter form, if you're doing pancakes or waffles or anything, you wanna combine your dry mix first just to make sure everything's nice and combined. And then we will separate our wet mix and then slowly fold this in. If we overwork our batter, our corn dogs will just be kind of tough and chewy, not light and airy and delicious. So in a bowl, this is a bowl, we are going to start with about a half a cup of flour. Half a cup, same of cornmeal. That gives it that wonderful texture and crunch that we're all familiar with. Our leavening today is just gonna be a little bit of baking powder. We're also gonna get a little bit of leavening from the beer, almost kind of like a tempura. That little bit of carbonation will help make everything nice and light. Baking powder first, and then we've got some salt and pepper, just a half teaspoon of each. We're gonna whisk all of that together first, just to combine. This also helps lighten our mixture and make sure there's not any weird clumps or anything like that. So to that dry mix, we're gonna add some scallions. You can add, honestly, whatever flavoring you want. You can add some cheese, you can add other spices if you want, maybe some garlic. We just wanted to add the scallions. Gives it a nice light, really fresh oniony flavor. Just something a little more unique that goes along with the Keller Haze and of course with all of our delicious hot dogs and sausages. We are using the greens and whites here. We're not trying to make anything super fancy. And we do want to toss this into our dry mix. If a little bit of flour and the cornmeal starts to coat those green onions, it'll prevent them kind of from sinking to the bottom or straying off in our wet mix. Now on to our wet mix. We're going to use a bigger bowl than the dry because we are going to fold the dry into the wet. So we want to make sure we have plenty of room. Also, we want to make sure we have plenty of room for our hot dogs and sausages. So our wet mix starts with 1 wonderful egg. So we're going to whisk that up just to break everything up and get it all ready to go. Makes it easier to combine with the rest of our ingredients. And to that, we're going to add a little bit of sugar. Corn dogs traditionally have that nice little bit of sweetness, almost like I guess a Midwestern cornbread. And the little bit of sugar also helps things caramelize really well and get nice and golden brown. But sugar is a wet ingredient for all intensive purposes. If you're baking, the sugar usually goes in with the butter and the eggs, not the flour and everything else. So it has a chance to dissolve and makes your batter nice and smooth. And then the rest of our wet ingredients goes in. Essentially, we are just kind of making a looser version of a cornbread. So we're gonna use a little bit of whole milk for a little bit of fat, makes everything nice and fluffy and creamy, so that goes in. And then, of course, our beer. Keller Haze, wonderful India Pale Ale, really bright citrusy flavors, lower in IBUs than traditional IPAs, so that allows us to cook all over the board with it. You've seen us do recipes with it before, but this nice citrusiness will go along with the wonderful assortment of hot dogs and sausages that we have for you. And then we're going to fold our dry ingredients in. If we whisk this or over mix this, our corn dog batter, try saying that 3 times fast. Our corn dog batter will become tough, and that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for super fluffy, wonderfully light and airy, delicious corn dogs. So we've got our dry, and we're switching to a spatula as opposed to a whisk. Again, just wanna make sure this is whisked until combined, and then we're just gonna let it rest for about 10 or 15 minutes or so. Now you're probably saying to yourself, this doesn't look like a whole bunch of batter. This is actually enough batter for about 8 whole hot dogs. Normally what we would do is stick this in a pint glass or something tall and skinny so we can dunk our corn dogs in. But since we are doing the miniature version, we are just going to chop up a couple different kinds, toss them right in, and then go straight into the fryer. So our batter has rested about 10 to 15 minutes, and this just allows the cornmeal to rehydrate a little bit. If we do it too early, it might just kind of seize up and not be great. It also gives you a little bit of time, just in case it's really humid in your house, that you can just add a little bit more liquid to make sure this is what we're looking for in our batter. Kind of nice, I guess I'd call it like a good waffle batter consistency. We're not looking for full-blown pancake. We don't want to be able to pour this because as soon as it hits the fryer, it'll all just fall off and become this tempura-y kind of mess in your fryer. But we do have 3 different hot dogs and sausages for you all today. So first, we have the Teton Waters Ranch, grass-fed, 100% beef hot dog. Those are right here. Really super delicious stuff. Obviously, it's gonna have a little more of a snap to it and just really awesome kind of classic hot dog kind of situation. We have our Chef Martin. These are an uncured beef and pork dog. Little bigger, natural casings, fantastic flavor. You actually saw us use those back in the Coney Dog episode. So these are really great. And then finally, Old Major Market, local here to Indianapolis. We've got their Chilean style longanizza. So think chorizo without a lot of the heat. So the paprika, the garlic, and all of those wonderful flavors. And the big note with these is that they were an uncooked sausage when we got them in from our friends at Green Bean. You'll want to roast those, or at least poach them or par cook them in some way so they're fully cooked before you add them into the fryer. That way they won't release a whole bunch of liquid and ruin your batter and ruin everything around you. It could get kind of messy. So we just pre-cooked these in 350 degree oven for about 15 to 20 minutes, nice and slow and low and easy, just to make sure they're 100% set, cooled, which also makes them less fragile. And then we're gonna cut everything up, toss them in our batter and get to frying. Sound good? We'll cut these into about thirds. I think that looks great. We don't have to worry about individually dipping these guys or anything like that. We are just gonna mix this whole thing together and pluck them out individually and fry them off. We are frying at 350 degrees, and I would think the size of these guys, they should take about 3 to 5 minutes, depending on how deep your oil is. You might need to turn them once. We are doing a deep fry, so we're just gonna go straight into the basket and have some fun. You'll want to be careful. And the best thing to do, a good little pro tip, is just to hold your mini corn dog or your big corn dog in the oil for just a second and then release. That way it has a chance to cook. It'll puff up real nice and then it won't stick to the bottom, which is super important. Drop, drop, hold, drop. About 8 to 10 at a time. So once these are in, again, we're just gonna fry these in batches, about 8 to 10 mini corn dogs at a time, or you can probably do 3 or 4 big corn dogs all at the same time as well, in a nice 12-inch minimum cast iron, or just something that has a really good base. That way your heat's nice and even. We'll let these sit for just a minute, and then we'll give the whole basket a shake, and then they should pop right up. And if you have some that haven't quite liberated themselves, you can just give them a little motivation. So we're gonna fry these about 3 to 5 minutes until they're golden brown and delicious. Drain them on a paper towel lined baking sheet and fry in batches until we're ready to go. We're gonna serve this with some delicious yellow mustard. If you're ketchup fans out there, go right ahead. I'll look the other way. Maybe not. So our last batch of mini corn dogs is coming out of the fryer. And like I said previously, we're just gonna simply serve these with a little organic yellow mustard and of course a nice cold Keller Haze. But we did this in about 3 batches. I've got a little 4-quart fryer here. If you are doing it in a bigger vessel, it'll obviously go a lot faster. Or if you have one of those cool fryers that are outside for like turkey fryers, you can probably knock out like a dozen of these things at a time. Transfer them over here. Dun, 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 dun. And we don't necessarily have to worry about seasoning these afterwards. Salt, pepper, and the scallions are already in the batter, so they should be pretty much ready to go. And all we need to do is go to the plate and pour ourselves a beer. And then it's time for some milkshakes. I like milkshakes. Corn dogs and milkshakes? Let's go. Well, that looks good. There you are. Grab ourselves another beer. Boomba. So our Keller Haze mini corn dogs are all finished, ready for eating or snacking or devouring all by yourself while watching Netflix. You do you. But now it's time for some milkshakes. We're gonna do 2 different kinds of milkshakes featuring some local organic milk from our good friends at Green Bean and a whole slew of other things, including orange vanilla cream ale and WeMac. So we're gonna have essentially like a dreamsicle situation and then a super chocolatey one, both featuring beer, both featuring delicious ice cream, just like you would get at the dairy bar. And they have some of the greatest milkshakes and grilled cheeses in the whole state fair. So go see them when we all get to do this next time. All right, so to start, anytime you make a milkshake, you always wanna put your liquids in first. That way it gives the opportunity for a blade to catch onto something. Then you put your ice cream in, and then we give the whole thing a whiz bang. We're starting just with some whole milk. We're doing about a 2-to-1 ratio. Obviously, if you want them thicker and your blender can handle it, go ahead and use a little less. You can use more ice cream if you want. And of course, you can always adjust that. So just like a lot of recipes, you can always add stuff. You can't necessarily take it away. So we'll add just about 3 ounces each of our orange vanilla cream ale and then some delicious whole milk first. And then if it's a little thick, we can always add more. You can't, I guess you could just keep adding ice cream, but then you might have like a whole pitcher full of milkshakes, which isn't a bad thing. Just about 3 ounces of our milk. I've got 4 here, so we'll leave a little bit in the tank. Same of orange vanilla. So this is our wonderful Great American Beer Festival award-winning cream ale, now with the delicious flavors of orange and vanilla. I'm sure you've seen it on the shelves out there. Same 3 ounces, just until really it covers the blades, which gets things nice and started. And then we'll go in with our ice cream. So we've got wonderful orange vanilla flavors already in, so we're gonna use a nice, good homemade style vanilla ice cream. So we've got about 6 ounces of liquid in there now. We're gonna do this whole pint, all 16 ounces of ice cream. This will serve 2 generously, of course. And then to punch up that orange flavor, we're actually going to zest an orange, or about half. These things are ginormous. And as you can see, again, this is still pretty orange. If we go any further, it obviously gets kind of bitter and not super delicious. Crack this guy in half. We'll just give it a squeeze. We're just looking for maybe a couple of tablespoons at the most. Perfect. Lid goes on. Motivator goes in. And here we go. Cool, and just like that, our first milkshake is done. Again, these are super simple recipes, not only featuring our delicious beer, but some great local products as well. And we've got a really nice consistency here that you can sip through or just grab a straw. We'll hit it with just a little bit of whipped cream. That is our orange vanilla cream ale milkshake. Again, super simple, just really use really quality ingredients. We've got the orange vanilla cream ale, of course, some great vanilla ice cream, just a little bit of whole milk. We've got the perfect consistency. So now that our orange vanilla cream ale milkshake is done, it's time to go chocolate. That way we please everybody. So it all does start with some delicious, super crazy, awesome chocolate milk. Again, just about 3 ounces. Save an ounce. And then, of course, you're all familiar with it. We've used it a bunch. Wee Mac Scottish Style Ale. Equal parts. We really like the maltiness of this beer, along with all of the chocolate. It just creates a really wonderful combo. We're gonna go a little extra with some chocolate sauce. Put that in there. And then because we are doing chocolate, we always like to bump up those flavors, just a pinch of salt. And then our ice cream. Again, whole pint. We're even just gonna use the spatula this time and just get it in there. Nice and easy. Make sure we get every last drop. Second verse, same as the first. Awesome. Deliciously chocolatey. There we go. Swirl it around. That way we know what we're dealing with. Boom. Hi. No, I'm just kidding. So that is our wonderful State Fair wrap up. We did those wonderful Keller Hayes corn dogs, the two great Boozy milkshakes featuring orange vanilla cream ale and Keller Hayes. And of course, as always, we want to thank everyone involved. We want to wish our friends at the State Fair a happy, cold winter so we can all convene in the summer and have a rockin' good time, just like always. Of course, as always, we want to thank the Fisher's Test Kitchen and, of course, our good friends at Green Bean Delivery. If you want these recipes, they will be right below us in those links at greenbeandelivery.com/blog. And while you're looking at recipes and looking at links, of course, hit those likes and subscribe buttons for me because it makes me feel good. I didn't think it would, but here we are. We're having a lot of fun. So thank you all again for watching. Have a happy holidays. Go enjoy some corn dogs and milkshakes. Let's do it. Cheers.